Before we begin, let me tell you this video isn't for everyone. No flashy edits, no hyper-stimulated nonsense, just actual ideas. Only 30% of viewers make it to the end because this isn't brain rot. If you do, you're part of a rare few in today's short attention span wasteland. You think deeper, you focus, you're probably going to do great things. Now, if you want to support content that respects your brain, try Audible free for 30 days using my link in the description, or use my affiliate link when you buy a book. It costs you nothing but helps a lot. Let's get started.
There it is again, that restless urge for something new. That feeling that keeps you striving even after success. Recognize it? Well, much of that experience stems from a key chemical messenger in your brain, dopamine. It functions as your internal engine for motivation, directing your attention to future possibilities and shaping your daily drive for exploration and reward. Dilemma. Think about the last time you truly wanted something. Not the quiet enjoyment of having it, but the intense focus, the almost restless energy directed toward achieving or obtaining it. That wanting sensation is where dopamine shines. Simply put, it's your brain's chemical messenger specialized in anticipation and possibility. It generates excitement around potential outcomes, often making the idea of the future reward feel even more compelling than the reward itself. It turns out this response is a feature of our biology, and it's been shaped over millennia. Our ancestors lived in environments where constantly scanning the horizon and pursuing novelty was essential for survival, and it was dopamine which provided that vital, future-focused drive. But here's the thing with dopamine. While it excels at anticipation, it's not great at sustaining that feeling after you get what you want. You see, the actual experience of satisfaction, the warmth of connection, the simple enjoyment of tasting good food, relies on a different set of brain chemicals entirely. These other chemicals are all about the here and now, grounding you firmly in your present experience. Think about finally getting that gadget you obsessed over for months. The moment it's actually in your hands, dopamine's main job is done. That intense wanting starts to fade. What replaces it is the sensory reality, how it feels, how it looks. And quite often, that reality might feel a bit underwhelming compared to the dazzling future dopamine had painted. This gap between anticipation and having helps explain why victories feel fleeting and the appeal of new things fades quickly. It's also why you might find yourself thinking, okay, what's next? Much sooner than you'd have guessed. This pattern fuels a cycle of seeking, brief satisfaction, and renewed restlessness. The challenge arises because this ancient dopamine circuitry, fine-tuned for survival, often feels out of sync with our modern lives of relative safety and incredible abundance. Today, this system gets triggered constantly. Basic needs still activate it, but so does an endless stream of notifications, ads, social media, and constant choices. This constant stimulation can leave you feeling unsettled, subtly dissatisfied, always scanning for that elusive more. Recognizing this internal dynamic, this push and pull between future-focused wanting and present moment having, is a really useful first step. Understanding that it opens the door to managing it more consciously for greater balance in life. Let's move on to exploring some ways you can do that. How to tune your dopamine. Recognizing the internal push and pull between wanting and having prompts practical questions. Can you actually do anything about it? Can you consciously influence your dopamine levels to better manage motivation and satisfaction? The answer seems to be yes. But it's not a matter of finding some magic switch or directly boosting dopamine with a pill, especially if your system is generally healthy. Your brain has protective barriers for good reason. Attempts to artificially force higher dopamine levels often lead to your brain adapting in unhelpful ways, perhaps building tolerance so you need more stimulus just to feel normal, or increasing anxiety. The more helpful path involves supporting your brain's natural equilibrium and learning how to reset its sensitivity when it's become dulled by modern life's constant stimulation. This leads to a useful strategy, sometimes called dopamine fasting, although dopamine revitalization might describe it more accurately. Picture recalibrating a sensitive instrument. When constantly exposed to intense stimuli, think endless notifications, super tasty processed foods, jarring news, and readily available entertainment, your dopamine receptors can become less responsive as a protective measure. This is known as downregulation. It helps explain why you might need increasing excitement just to feel engaged, finding simple pleasures less appealing. Dopamine revitalization involves consciously stepping back from specific, problematic sources of high, easy dopamine stimulation. Doing this allows those receptors to recover and become sensitive again through a process called upregulation. The objective is a targeted withdrawal from the less valuable, high-intensity hits. So, how can you practice this revitalization? Think of it like starting a manageable fitness routine. Consistency and focused effort usually work better than extreme, short-term attempts. Identify 1 or 2 specific habitual dopamine triggers in your day that consume time or energy without offering much real value. Maybe it's checking your phone compulsively upon waking. Perhaps it's scrolling through social media feeds during breaks or grabbing a sugary drink out of habit. A very helpful step involves eliminating that specific trigger completely for a set period. You might feel uncomfortable or anxious initially. Your brain may resist the change, yet sticking with it typically allows that craving pathway to weaken. As you eliminate the trigger, consciously replace it with an activity engaging your here and now senses or providing a different type of reward. Instead of grabbing your phone first thing, maybe commit to 5 minutes of stretching or observing the world outside. Instead of scrolling at lunch, perhaps read a physical book chapter or connect with a friend. The specific replacement matters less than the act of breaking the old loop. This gives your dopamine system a rest from that particular intense stimulation. Practicing this consistently, even with just 1 or 2 triggers, helps reset your sensitivity. You'll likely find yourself feeling more genuine pleasure from everyday experiences, noticing less restlessness, and gaining a greater sense of control over your impulses. This practice offers a valuable, self-directed way to begin recalibrating your brain for a less frantic, more satisfying experience of daily life. Dopamine, desire, and devotion. So you've started exploring ways to manage your overall dopamine sensitivity, perhaps through revitalization techniques or therapy. Now, let's zoom in on how these dopamine dynamics show up in one of life's most charged arenas: romance and connection. It's a perfect place to see dopamine's core functions in action. That drive for novelty, the strong way it generates anticipation, and its eventual tendency toward boredom with the familiar. Take a moment to think about that exciting feeling of love at first sight. What's happening chemically? Often, it's a significant dopamine surge. When you meet someone new who truly captures your interest, especially unexpectedly, your brain registers a potential reward, perhaps connection, intimacy, or excitement, that significantly exceeds your normal expectations. This reward prediction error acts like hitting a jackpot for your dopamine system. It floods you with focus, sometimes making you overlook flaws through idealization, and generates that intense wanting sensation. Your brain becomes fully captivated by the thrilling possibility this new person represents. But here's the thing about that initial dopamine-fueled intensity. It's based on novelty. And as you saw earlier, novelty naturally fades. In other words, as you get to know someone, as mystery gives way to comfortable familiarity, dopamine habituates. The same interactions don't produce the same intense rush. This marks an important transition point in any developing bond. But lasting connection develops through the growth of attachment, trust, and comfort, feelings often associated with different neurochemicals like oxytocin, operating more in the stable here and now. This shift can feel challenging because the very predictability that fosters deep security might simultaneously feel less exciting to the part of your brain that responds strongly to the new. It's a natural biological tension, not necessarily a sign that something's wrong. Successfully handling this involves mindfully working with these dopamine dynamics. Since the initial fire was lit by novelty, sustaining interest may benefit from reintroducing elements that engage dopamine positively within the relationship. That doesn't require dramatic gestures. Instead, it could involve intentionally breaking routines to share genuinely new or unpredictable experiences together, reigniting a sense of mutual discovery. Or perhaps it means cultivating anticipation, maybe deliberately creating space or delaying gratification in certain ways, which can heighten dopamine's interest and make shared moments feel even more rewarding when they happen. Alongside managing the novelty factor, it's equally helpful to actively cultivate appreciation for the relationship's here and now aspects. Consciously focusing on and savoring the shared comfort, the deep familiarity, the quiet moments of connection. These actions strengthen the bonds supported by other brain chemicals. They provide ongoing satisfaction and stability, anchoring the relationship even as the initial dopamine fireworks naturally evolve into a different kind of warmth. But sustaining orbit means developing different skills, nurturing other chemical systems, and making an effort to integrate the ongoing need for stimulation with the deep rewards of familiar connection. Modern dopamine traps. Having explored ways to generally tune your dopamine system and handle its effects within relationships, let's turn to broader social implications. That same delicate balance with dopamine, the tension between wanting and having, plays out constantly in your daily interactions with technology, media, and consumer culture, often more intensely. Many parts of contemporary life seem almost perfectly engineered to hook directly into dopamine's wanting mechanism. This can create behavioral loops that quietly consume valuable resources like your time, focus, and well-being. Take the device likely within your reach right now, your smartphone. It often connects you to environments highly skilled at dopamine manipulation. Social media feeds, for example, deliver constant algorithmically chosen novelty through an endless scroll. The unpredictable nature of the rewards, a sudden like, an unexpected message, an engaging video, functions much like a slot machine. This intermittent reinforcement keeps you scrolling down, anticipating the possibility of the next rewarding hit. You might find yourself pulled forward by the dopamine-fueled lure of potential validation or fleeting amusement. The 24/7 news cycle can tap into this same system, using sensational headlines promising breaking developments to trigger your dopamine system's craving for novelty, prompting compulsive checking. This often creates a low-level hum of anxiety and seeking. This pattern of using dopamine for engagement takes other strong forms. Online pornography is a great case in point. It offers immediate, varied sexual stimulation completely separated from the efforts and emotional nuances of real-world relationships. Because the novelty appears infinite and access is easy, it can lead to desensitization. Your brain adapts, meaning you might find yourself needing increasingly specific or extreme content for the same effect. This tolerance buildup can diminish your capacity for satisfaction within partnered intimacy, becoming a solitary chase that potentially harms real connection. Similarly, modern video games are often crafted around a continuous flow of small challenges and unpredictable rewards, like loot boxes which mimic gambling mechanics. These escalating feedback loops are designed to keep you optimally engaged, sometimes blurring an enjoyable pastime into a compulsion affecting other responsibilities or even sleep. Countering these modern dopamine traps involves putting the revitalization and management techniques we explored earlier into practice. As mentioned before, strategies focused on recognizing triggers, building helpful friction, mindfully handling urges, and resetting sensitivity are key for these situations. Applying these approaches consistently helps you shift from being passively pulled by engineered loops to actively choosing where your focus and energy go. Sometimes, a more significant reset, like a period of completely avoiding porn or gaming to reboot, might be needed to break strong habits and let your dopamine sensitivity recalibrate, similar to the revitalization discussed earlier. Such strategies help you actively choose where you direct your focus and energy. Beyond more. So you've learned to choose where your focus and energy go and are resisting those engineered dopamine loops. That offers more control, certainly. But does simply managing the system well lead to the deepest kind of satisfaction? Or is there another layer to consider? If you stop there, focusing only on handling the downsides without asking a deeper question, you might feel more competent day to day, yet still sense a lack of resonant fulfillment. There could be a lingering feeling that something important is missing. The reason for this often connects to the nature of the dopamine system itself. Its cycle of wanting, achieving, and the dip before wanting again doesn't automatically provide meaning. As you've seen, dopamine is a brilliant engine for forward motion, excellent at pushing you toward the next goal or possibility. But it offers no inbuilt compass for whether that goal is truly worthwhile or adds to a fulfilling life. Living solely by this rhythm, chasing more simply for the novelty or a temporary high, can eventually feel empty, perhaps like running faster and faster only to find yourself treading water. This points to an important distinction, moving beyond simple brain chemistry into the territory of human experience, the difference between momentary happiness and enduring fulfillment. Happiness often shines in the here and now. Sensory pleasures, shared laughter, the comfort of connection. These experiences, often supported by those other brain chemicals grounding you in the present, are very valuable. It often arises from channeling the dopamine drive, directing its energy toward pursuits aligned with a purpose you genuinely find valuable. When your striving feels connected to something bigger than yourself, the effort itself gains significance. Achievements that feel less like temporary fixes and more like satisfying milestones on a worthy path. So how can you cultivate this sense of meaning? It usually requires an active, internal process of discovery and intentional choice. First, identify activities you feel drawn to, skills you enjoy developing, and what brings you genuine, intrinsic pleasure and deep engagement. Then, mindfully connect these enjoyable, skillful activities to core values that resonate with you. What principles do you want your life to reflect? Maybe it's contributing to the community, seeking understanding, creating beauty, acting with compassion, or developing courage. When you find ways to use your enjoyable skills in service of these personally chosen values, a strong integration happens. Your dopamine-driven energy finds a constructive, meaningful channel. The wanting transforms into purposeful striving, and the having feels more resonant and deeply satisfying, whether that's the accomplishment itself or the rich experience of the present moment during meaningful activity. This ensures that your strong, natural drive for more is channeled into building a life that feels not just managed, but truly worthwhile.